One Piece. That's right, the live action series is coming out on Netflix this week. I just committed myself to editing it this week. But in anticipation of the live action show, which by all accounts is actually pretty good, I hope. That's what I'm hearing. But I kind of want to talk about the manga specifically and why things have never been as good as and can never ever be as good as Water 7 ever again in the whole series. Yeah, I know, it's weird. Like, things are getting very epic. This is a series that has gone through, you know, Sabati Archipelago, Impel Down, Marineford, Dressrosa, all these really epic arcs. Wano, we're now in Egghead Island. A lot of crazy stuff is happening. Amazing stuff is happening. But it really just, it physically cannot be what it was with Water 7. Now, forgive me as I'm talking here, I have some notes on my iPad here, so if I'm looking down, that's why, but I just want to make sure I capture everything that I have written down here, because it's important to understand. So, the majority of One Piece is about the crew going up against external forces. I mean, it's a battle manga. There's lots of fights, huge conflict, amazing pirates, and just lots of fisticuffs, lots of kicking, lots of swords, lots of guns. It's fun. It's a fun show. But what makes a story truly great aren't just the external conflicts. It's all about the internal conflicts that the characters face, both within themselves and within their own dynamic. And Water 7 was a culmination. It really built everything up like it never had been before. And once again, never can be again. So let's go ahead and start with, the external forces. This is when things get very epic. For the first time, they are dealing with actual world government stuff. They're dealing with CP9. They're dealing with the admirals. They're dealing with everything that has been built up to this point. But that's not it. It is one problem after another, many of which are internal. Robin goes missing. The Mary is irreparably damaged. Usopp is insecure and goes off. There's a lot of internal conflict building up that we've never seen before and really have never been seen since. I really don't even count Sabati Archipelago because they were all separated. Spoiler, I guess, for that. But up until that point, a lot of readers hadn't really actually thought about, oh, what if we lose a crew member? And it was at that point like, oh, we're losing 2 at once, all of a sudden. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and maybe we could foresee a future when maybe Usopp isn't on the crew. Or we could see a future where Robin actually isn't redeemed. We really didn't know at the time what the future held for that character. And as much as I love how epic things have gotten, post-time skip One Piece doesn't have that again. Or at this point, it just doesn't exist. Everything is very secure. Ever since the time skip, I have never felt any real danger for members of the crew. I haven't felt danger for their lives, nor have I felt any danger in terms of their security within the crew. I mean, we had a whole arc, Whole Cake Island, where Sanji was like, oh, I'm not on the crew anymore. But I mean, come on. We knew he was coming back. There was no doubt. It was a matter of, okay, well, what is it? What's the deal then? Why is he being this way? Granted, I loved Whole Cake Island. That actually was my favorite arc up until that point, post-time skip. But I still didn't feel the stakes. Kind of like how I feel with Death in One Piece, where they have these stakes of, oh, he's not going to join the crew, but like, we know what's going to happen. We know what the deal is. You're not going to fool us, Oda. You're not going to kill anyone of importance, and you're not going to actually irreparably separate the crew. That's just not what you do. So, Water 7 was before all of that was firmly established. That's not the only thing. At this stage in the series, everything is external forces. All crew members are trustworthy. And to add an extra layer to it, everyone has plot armor. And I don't just mean like, oh, they can't get hurt. I mean, now they're all important because they're all tied into fate. Luffy is basically a god now, literally a god, and everything is preordained. they're not really paving an unpaved path forward anymore. It is now being laid out in front of them. And don't get me wrong, it's still a very cool story, lots of great battles, still a lot of fun to read on a week-to-week basis, but there is a little bit of something missing. That little something that you get when you watch a show and you have a character that goes through an amazing internal arc. Not just overcoming an obstacle, but learning something about themselves along the way. Back in Water 7, you had Robin's huge arc, learning she wasn't worthless. You learned about Usopp learning to overcome his insecurities. You had Luffy growing as a captain. There were a lot of internal arcs throughout there, and after the time skip, internal arcs for our main team, really hard to come by. I guess you can argue that happened with Sanji and Whole Cake Island, but I'm not entirely sure what his arc is. If you could tell me in the comments, that would be great. Again, I'm not hating on One Piece. I'm still one of the biggest One Piece fans out there. I've been reading since 2004, almost 20 years at this point. Reading week to week since 2009. So I'm in it for the long haul. I want to see this series succeed, and I'm not trying to be, old man yelling at Cloud, saying, oh, things were better back in my day, or things were better back at this point. But the thing is, just as a storyteller, it doesn't have the impact and gravitas it once did from an internal arc standpoint. I just think it's a different series now than it was then. That's okay. It's just maybe not going to reach the same heights that it once did for me. And I think I'm going to be okay with that. I could still enjoy pre-time skip One Piece as much, and I can enjoy post-time skip One Piece in a completely different way. Anyways, those are my thoughts. That is why One Piece can never be better than Water 7. That is why that is peak One Piece. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you learned something or like something, give me a thumbs up. Anyways, I guess next week we'll probably go back to talking about normal books with words. So, until then.